All right, welcome Rattler Nation. I'm Vaughn Wilson, Director of Rattler Productions. I'm here with our Athletic Director, Milton Overton, and we just want to take a few minutes out to give a state of FAMU athletics. Who wants to see another boring speech? So we figured we'd do it in a question and answer type atmosphere to give you all the information. AD Overton, first off, how are you doing today?
Oh, fantastic. And I just wanted to say to Rattler Nation, first off, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And we just want to say thank you so much for everything you did for us this year. We had an awesome year, Vaughn. I mean, and the Rattlers showed up and showed out like they normally do.
Right, absolutely. We've got several accomplishments to be proud of. Attendance records. We won another cross-country championship, several academic feats. Just talk about some of the accomplishments this year.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'd like to probably start with just our staff, like yourself and Angela, Suggs and Marvin, and, our executive staff, Elliot, Miss Ellen Wood. We've got a great staff. Everything that we do is based on, the support structure that we have for our coaches and for our student athletes. So I always want to start with the accomplishment is having a good team, having a good team of professionals who actually really care about our students, really care about, the mission of FAMU and what FAMU is, what it stands for. And so that's the first accomplishment, that we actually understand the mission. And when you dive down, deeper than that, you do have incremental things that we can actually show and measure, that we've actually been able to accomplish. And I'd say, the first thing, starting the year out, we wanted to make sure that we heard, what the Rattlers asked for. They asked, for a one-stop shop, situation relative to football, right? They wanted to be able to buy the tickets and buy parking at the same time. And, we implemented the Investing in Champions program. And so we were able to do that. Now, it didn't come without challenges.
Sure.
There were some challenges, and I call them growing pains. Because as you start a new ticketing program, and you are trying to listen to your fans, it takes a lot of work in order to accomplish that. So being able to make sure that we provided the level of service that we wanted to for our fans and provide the opportunity we did that, we want to continue to improve. We want to improve relative to make it even easier, for our fans to buy, and also to support our student athletes. The fans also asked for an opportunity to just kind of reduce their expenses because they felt like they were a bit overcharged, in some areas. So what the program did was give them more value, for less money. And we heard from a lot of people, who really appreciated that opportunity. But obviously, during a transition situation like this, we have to continue to get better in terms of making sure that we have a great level of service. And so I don't want to speak to some of that as we move on, throughout the program, but we were proud that we at least implemented it. There was the first time ever that our, at least in a long time, that our fan base had an opportunity to both buy the tickets, buy the parking. We also made sure that folks who wanted to actually come to the game and tailgate, we didn't charge. And that was intentional, and because it's not always about the money. It's about making sure that your fans have a good experience and that they know that you care based on what you do, okay? And what it also creates is a festive game atmosphere. So we had a lot more RVs in the parking lot. We had a lot more people tailgating. And here's what happens when you do this. You're not really giving it away because you have more people there. And when there's more fans in the parking lot, when there's more fans, in the stadium, they buy more concessions. They actually make more donations, so it actually comes out a win-win. So the athletic department wins, the student athletes win because we get more revenue to support them, but they also win in terms of lowering their expenses.
Well, I like that as well. And one thing you said, and you kind of glossed over it, but for the first time, a lot of the people that bought season tickets and parking every year, this year in their package, they actually donated to athletics.
That's right.
And you started the process where they're actually investing in athletics, not just buying season tickets, not just buying parking, but investing in the academic side of our student athletes.
There's no question about it. And so, when you look at the Investing in Champions program, let's just look at the champion level, okay? And that's your $1,000 donor, is that they have an opportunity to for $1,000, there's about 30% of that $1,000, goes towards the purchasing of the asset, the tickets and the parking. But 70% for the first time in our history actually goes towards the donation. And what that means, it goes towards athletic scholarships. and that goes towards make sure that student athletes have books, they have an opportunity to travel, all those things. And so our donations went up by by more than 50% because we actually implement that program. So some people ask me, I'm like, okay, well, you guys look like you're getting way too much. When in essence, our donations went up by more than 50%.
Right.
Because it's a win-win. We're looking for a win-win scenario for our student athletes, our coaches, our fans, our great fans, and obviously our athletic department. So I was really happy with that. Now, let me tell you some other things that happened as a result of that. We actually improved our season ticket number by 30% as well. So every single year, for the last 2 years, we have we've hit a new record high in season tickets. So the first thing you always want to do is establish a baseline. So when I first came in, I said, well, how many season tickets have we ever sold? In the high years, in the low years. So 3,100 tickets, season tickets was the highest we'd ever sold. Well, this year, we sold 4,300 season tickets. Last year, we sold 3,600. So we had a high watermark of season tickets each year. And also for the first time, we had more people that we didn't have in the database who had never bought season tickets before that bought season tickets. And because we're Rattlers, and I feel like it's a very unique situation, we have people that bought, season tickets who were only going to come to one game.
Right.
I mean, they live in Washington, D.C., they live in Atlanta, they live, in Tampa, New York. They live all over the country. And so we had more Rattlers than ever before buy season tickets. And we had more Rattlers than ever before buy season tickets from a very diverse set of locations, all over the country, to say, hey, we want to support what you guys are doing.
Yes, and we've heard back from our constituents, and there obviously was definitely a need for us to continue to communicate that to people. But we got so many times when we would go places, people would tell us thank you, and they're eager about the new plans that we're implementing here because they are forward thinking. And it also resulted where we were also fortunate this year, and that record was set last year with a team that went 1-10.
Oh, no question. Only FAMU. And I say that for a reason because, I've been in a lot of departments and I've been in a lot of schools all across the country. There's no better fan base than Florida A&M University. The Rattler Nation is strong. And I can say that, having had the experience to look at, a pretty wide variety of college football fan base, right? And so with 1-10, and we go from 1-10, to win 4 games, and we could have very easily won, 6 games this year or 7 games, okay? But that's not enough. I don't want anybody to ever believe that that 4 games, 5 games is where we want to be. We're champions, right. And we always strive to compete for and to win championships. But as you look at and you evaluate your football program, you have to look at incremental progress that you're making, okay? And so you have to account, for any limitations that you might have, which NCAA limitations we have in terms of probation and those kind of things. But in spite of that, our fan base always continues to show up no matter where we go. That's why we hit also a new attendance record. So not only did we have a new season ticket record, but we hit a new attendance record. We were top 3 this year in average attendance in FCS. We won 4 games, only at FAMU. But we can't stop there. I don't want anybody to think that that's enough, because it's not. We have to now build something, and continue to build on the momentum that we have to get back to where the position that we've been in the past, which is number 1. I'm not going to be satisfied until we're number 1 in every sport, not just football. Whether it's volleyball, basketball, baseball, that we're number 1 in every sport. And only through the attendance and having innovative strategies that's going to be tough. Change is always tough, okay? But our fan base is walking with us, through those issues. And I'll give you a couple of, we talked about some of the good things. I'll throw a couple more good things in, and then we'll talk about some of the things that we have to overcome. So, we actually had a larger scoreboard this year, which, we had some challenges with it for maybe 1 game, but we have a larger scoreboard, and it worked out well. Vaughn, you did a fantastic job, brand new technology, and man, you got a great student base of volunteers and interns. Yes. Vaughn does a great job with his interns. We have, and I give them pride and give them accolades all the time, because it takes a yeoman's job to recruit them. You make sure that they're getting something out of the experience. but Rattler Productions is going to even be better because we have new equipment, right? That equipment allowed us to do some things, and we have more real estate to sell more advertising. We actually have more advertisers this year. So those are some things kind of behind the scene that people don't necessarily see.
Sure.
Yes, we want a larger scoreboard so, fans can follow the games, better. And I tell you what, the other thing from a recruiting standpoint, what did you see? You saw Rattler Productions put on a replay that actually showed, the student athletes, and also intros. So for the first time, our football players, when they made a good play, you saw them standing up there, we had them posing. And so folks say, man, I don't know if I like that. From a recruiting standpoint, that is exactly what you want to do.
Right.
Because those prospects, they're sitting there on the sideline saying, hey, I want to play for FAMU. I want to be on that big screen. I want to be on that big screen. And the bigger the big screen is, the better it is, as far as they're concerned, right?
Exactly.
So the fans got into it, but a board is just a board, but it's the operators. It's the time that you took, and the staff took to implement, that new system was great. We also, in our premium seating area this year, we sold more premium seats we've ever had before. So the club, North End Zone Club this year, full. We exceeded what we did last year. We actually bricked it out. Put an actual foundation in there, which is going to save us money long term. So that helped us out a lot. And again, the parking lot was full. And this is something really small. People don't really pay attention to this, but we numbered the seats for the first time. And this is something that, in the survey, people said, hey, you know what? If I come to homecoming and someone's sitting in my seat and my ticket says this, but there's no identification on there, then how can I? How can I tell them to move?
Right.
So we heard that, we listened to you, and we numbered the seats. Who numbered the seats? The staff numbered the seats. So I think we're operating as efficiently as we can. We can always do better, but I just want the Rattler Nation to know that, we'll work real hard at it, even from the point of me laying sod, in the summer. So there's a lot of things that we did, as a group to ensure that the fans had a better buying experience, but then they also had a better experience from a standpoint of, fan enhancement. Always adding something, to making, their time here better. Homecoming, epic homecoming this year, right?
Yeah,
at least that's
absolutely.
what
No,
that's what I've been told, right?
It really was.
I mean, we had the concert, T-Pain, you can name some of the others, Fantasia, I mean, it was big time, right? So between that and I know Marvin did a great job, helping to put that on. You did a great job helping to put that on. So none of that stuff happens by accident.
Right.
There's a lot of people working in the back end to make sure that when the Rattlers come home, that they come home to a home feeling that they love, right? And so we're going to keep doing that.
Right.
That's something that we want to make a standard, right?
And keeping that parade on campus.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think that's huge. The first year we were all wondering, how is it going to work with that parade being on campus? But once we saw it and realized this is an opportunity to bring people to campus to stay all day, I don't think we can move.
Oh, no doubt. And if folks really love it, as folks come in the community. And here's the one thing that we also did. We made more free parking available all year, not just homecoming. But we wanted to make sure, again, that if you come to campus, that you're just not overloaded with so much expenses that it's prohibitive for you to come. The more people, I can operate in volume. The more people you have, the more dollars, okay? And you got to make it, again, an opportunity that's just comfortable for people. When you make it comfortable, they come, they show up, and then they have a good time and they want to come back. A couple other things I wanted to address is, okay, when you're at the game, we had more football prospects, than we ever have in the past too. So Coach Wood, the staff doing a really good job. We got to still continue to recruit more, but we had a lot more prospects in working with them. And so when the fans show up like they did, and we break attendance records, it really helps us in recruiting. And that's what's really important. So even if you know you're not going to be able to come to every single game,
sure, the
prospect about a season football ticket is to make sure and to ensure that we have so many fans there that our stadium needs to always be so competitive. Mm-hmm. It needs to be a place where our opponents don't want to come. because it's so loud.
Right.
It needs to be intimidating. So if you can't come, what should you do, Vaughn? Give your ticket to somebody else, make sure they come, but to buy that season ticket, it ensures the success of your football program and your athletic department long term.
One thing I want to clarify, just jumping subjects here. The first pillar, we have 6 pillars.
Yep.
Let's go back to our statement of building champions. It starts in the classroom, and football has actually performed pretty well over the last few years.
Right.
And we expect to have relief there and start seeing more of the positive things. We're having spring practice this year, and just want to alert everyone that continuing with Elliot Charles, who's doing a great job, the deputy AD, with keeping our compliance in order. There are some things that I've seen, been around here a long time, that we haven't paid attention to, and he's paying attention to detail. And one of those details was that when you're on probation, that article has to be prominently displayed on your front page.
Absolutely.
And we didn't have it there, and once he noticed it and made the corrective action, it kind of threw up a red flag that it was something new. But it's actually nothing new.
No, nothing
we just
new.
had to go into the NCAA compliance mode and actually put that article on the front page. So no, there are no new NCAA sanctions or violations. What we were doing is being compliant with the NCAA. So a lot of people saw that and got alarmed, and we got a lot of messages. But I want to do that publicly, let everyone know that. But the good side of it is that we have a department with Miss Ellen Wood and with Portia, and we have a compliance staff probably bigger than we've had before, paying attention to those kind of things.
Well, and we have to, because, again, we actually had a meeting with our athletics committee. So there's a lot of accountability when it comes to athletics, whether it happens to be, obviously the president, who Dr. Robinson's doing a terrific job, and he wants to make sure and ensure that the athletic department is going to, move forward as it should, but do it within compliance, in compliance with BLG policies, university policies, and then NCAA policies. Vaughn, to your point, we have been a repeat offender, with the NCAA. But the good news is that this time the corrective actions that we put in place, per the probationary terms, we're actually going through that process. We're going through that process so well that we're actually getting relief on those restrictions that the NCAA put on us, right? So, basketball got off of, they're not completely off probation, but they had some restrictions removed, right? So they can go to postseason.
They can go to postseason.
Right. Football this year, they have some restrictions removed, so they can do spring ball. And that is absolutely critical. And that only happens because our APR trajectory is going up. So that means academically, we are doing much better. And those teams that had an issue relative to performance, they're all tracking up, every single one of them. And so that's the good news, is that, guys, is your athletic department moving forward, okay, from a standpoint of academics, compliance, strength and conditioning? And so you're talking about the pillars. Vaughn talks about the building champions in the classroom and the field and life. With academic excellence and integrity. That's the mission, right? And so we've got 6 pillars that we focus on. Everything we've been talking about is within one of those pillars, right? So academics is the first one. And then it goes to compliance. Those 2 things are the foundation. Those 6 pillars are the foundation that holds up your athletic department. What we've seen in our athletic department is, you've seen some losing, okay? Not at all, but when it relates to football, that's sometimes how you measure it from the outside. But when you open up the hood, you got to be able to see, how do we correct these things so that, we know that we're moving forward, so you don't see those cracks in the house, right? And so we're correcting those things. So fixing compliance, making sure that academics is stronger, making sure the strength and conditioning, is better. We have a few different strength coaches, right? And you can see this year, when I looked at all of the metrics, okay, at the end of every season, relative to football and every sport, we look at the stats, right? And we look at the stats and see, did we get better in statistical categories that actually produce a win in the long run? And 98% or more of the statistical categories in which you measure football, all of those numbers went up. And I'll give you a good understanding of how a pillar and applying a fix or a repair to a pillar produces a win long term. Okay, so you got to follow me here, okay? So and I'll just use Parker as an example. So Parker came in, Coach Wood, hired him, and we did a baseline with, let's say, football. And a baseline in strength conditioning is how many times you do 225 bench press, right? How many? I mean, what's your broad jump? What's your high jump? Okay, what's your squat? What is all of those different metrics. And 80% of the players improve in their strength and conditioning categories. And I'm talking about some pretty major improvements. So when I now take that baseline and you now move it to, let's say, your stats on the field. So no, that's stats in the weight room. The stats in the weight room should translate to better stats on the field. So our fourth down conversions, our conversions in the red zone, this is when your big guys have to push the team in front of them in order to get that inch, to get that first down. Okay, so when you look at your red zone offense, red zone defense, okay, and you look at your third down conversion, this is critical points in the game in which you have to make a play to get that first down and get to that touchdown. Where we increase that significantly, that's where you measure big guys. That's where you measure, did the strength coach make a difference? Did the guys working harder in the weight room this summer, and they busted this summer, did it actually translate into something that's measurable that we can expect a win from? And the answer is yes. 98% of all those statistics went up. 98%. Okay, and that's a lot of statistical categories. So, folks, like again, when you measure your football, you don't just measure it in the wins. You got to say, how did we get there? It's a process of building a championship program. It's a process of building a championship athletic department. And you got to focus on those things that you don't see. Some, like all the things we're talking about, like homecoming and buying season tickets, all of that helps us fill that financial pillar. Without the financial pillar doing what it does, okay, to support, to make sure that our student athletes have scholarships and so on and so forth, you can't have a healthy athletic department. What happens is you got a department that's doing what? You're cutting stuff all the time. Okay, and when you cut, you don't get better. You have to infuse capital and infuse excitement, but also you have to work a plan in order to get there. So I think we've got a good plan, a simple plan in terms of building champions, and then we have a simple, strategic plan. And that strategic plan it's simple. Find the holes and fill them.
Well, I got a question. That's it. That's right. Well, I got a question for you.
All right.
You've been at some good programs, and you pretty much know how football operates. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you come in and just implement something that'll help us get 8 or 9 wins a year, like right away? And as opposed to this building thing you're doing, why do we have to do this as opposed to you just giving us something where we shoot right up?
Because the Rattlers need to win to stay there. Okay? We want to win and we want to sustain victories and sustain success, so your department is going to go up and down. There's only two ways, or a couple of ways, and none of them are good, in order to win quickly. Okay? You can go and get a bunch of JCs and 75% of your team is junior college transfers. Okay? And you can win real quick, but then your academics is going to go down because those guys are not going to be on the field. Right. So you're going to go up and you go down. And then you can cheat. Compliance. Those are only two ways to do it. But this is FAMU. I mean, I like to say that this is FAMU. Okay? The FAMU, like the old house. This is FAMU. There's only one. Right. And this FAMU should always, there's only one position for this FAMU to be in the number one spot all the time. Not some of the time, but all of the time. But you got to work with us and walk with us to do it right. Okay? Which means that you got to build your program. Okay? If you build it steady, then you can always be proud and know that this time when we get there, we're going to stay there. So we're going to work our plan, building champions. We're going to work our plan methodically, statistically. We're going to look through every single thing that we've got to do. And as long as folks are give us time, okay? And I'm not talking about 10 years, but I'm saying enough time to work the plan and work the process. Like when you're overweight like me, what do you have to do? I can go and get a lap band. I probably not supposed to say this shit, I don't care. I can go get lap band surgery. And, and then like in 30 days, 60, 90 days, okay, I might be at my ideal weight. But if I don't change my attitude, if I don't change the process in which I think about being healthy, right? And that I eat better all the time, I go to sleep on time, I change my eating habits, if that doesn't change, And if I don't do it systematically through a program, then I'm going to get right back to where I was. That is not going to happen at FAMU. We're going to do things, we're going to do it right. Right takes time. And I know that this is FAMU, and we're going to do it the right way. And that's why, and I believe in it. That's why fans show up when we win one game. Because they need to, but they know, and I want them to hold us accountable. You better not win one game next year.
Right.
Okay? This year you won 4. You better win more than that next year.
Right.
Because everything that we do should always equate to improvements that can be measured. Okay? Not just by wins and losses, but measured in did our graduation rate go up? Do we have more kids, in STEM majors? Okay. Do we have more engineers? Okay. Do we have more kids, in journalism that are doing all these incredible things that that some of our great journalism majors do? Just measure us, overall, because we're looking for comprehensive excellence. Okay. Comprehensive excellence is not done overnight. It has to be done methodically, strategically, and through a plan.
And right before my next point, I have to say that our most exciting event, game, is not on the schedule as a game. It's graduation tomorrow.
Right.
I can't wait.
Awesome.
I just went and did a photo shoot with one of our student athletes that we're going to feature for a graduation piece. Jamie Smith, the javelin thrower from the track team. We're really excited on graduation day. Mm-hmm. You get to be up on stage and poke your chest out at every time one of those athletes walk across it.
No,
I'm down at the bottom running back and forth because I don't want to miss a photo of these athletes. Mm-hmm. And because that's the first part of building champions, is that they cross that stage.
That's right. It is the single most important thing that we do.
Absolutely.
And I can tell you, I've learned, and that's why I really embrace, being here, because I've actually learned a lot. I didn't know, coming from a PWI, and it was a great institution and everything, but there's some things I didn't quite realize. Like when I sat on that stage, because I love academics. I'm not an academician, but I'm an academic guy, and I didn't think I deserved to be on that stage, right? But that's part of being on the president's leadership team, is you stay on stage. So now I love it because I get to sit out there and I watch. I've never seen so many African American professional graduates. Here's the thing that I learned that I didn't understand the meaning of, that's just so important here. Our mission is not just building champions for athletics. We're talking about building American champions that look like us. Mm-hmm. Okay? It's a big deal. HBCUs, and FAMU in particular, we build the middle class. The African American middle class is built on the graduates and the professional degrees that happen in HBCU. So we absolutely cannot afford to let one major or one HBCU fail. In particular, this one. This is the one I care about, but we have to be a standard for everybody. And this is why this has to work. So I'm just telling you, I've doubled down on the reason I'm here. It's not just what I thought it was. It's actually much bigger than that. So I can appreciate that about, learning and valuing what people like you, the FAMU Nation, the Rattler Nation, has brought to me in terms of my personal growth and development. Is I already had a great, value for FAMU, but now I have an even greater value for what our mission is. So I'm really serious, sometimes it's serious to a fault. But it's just because I understand better, and each day, you want to learn, and get better. And we're going to have so many student athletes, and I'll say this too, on things that we're already better on. Right now, and this is what, coming here has taught me, is that I used to recruit at all these other institutions, right? What happened to be Texas A&M, TCU, Oklahoma, Alabama, Texas A&M. And right now, our student athletes graduate at a higher rate in STEM majors than any PWI anywhere. But the problem with that is nobody knows it. Not enough people know that we have this many engineers and doctors and lawyers that are student athletes that are graduating and really affecting the middle class and really affecting America in such a substantial way. Okay, we've got to get that story out. That when I used to recruit at some of the other institutions and say, yeah, you're gonna get into School of Business, you're gonna get into pharmacy. More than likely they're not getting in. And if we would do the stats and just compare right now, our graduates, they're student athletes who are graduating, in these professional majors with anybody else, I can guarantee you we're better. So if we're better, why don't people know that we're better?
Right.
That's why we're on camera right now.
Right.
Is that we, we got to tell that story, because why didn't I know?
Right.
Like when I was being recruited, I'm a first generation college student, so I didn't have the luxury of having, a fifth generation Rattler or fifth generation Morehouse, college. Nobody went to college. So no one told me, say, man, you should come to an HBCU, because we just didn't know. But now I know. And that's why you see my boys come to these games, because that's not going to happen to them. I want them to have opportunities, I'm very proud of the opportunity that I had and was blessed to get a scholarship and everything. But my boys will know the difference. Like, they're going to know the benefits of coming to FAMU.
I got to tell you this quick story about when A.D. Overton first went to a pep rally last year. He was so upset because he said, why didn't I ever see this when I was in high school? He was so mad. And he started filming, I guess, to show somebody else. But he was so mad when he saw that pep rally. You got the band, you got the cheerleaders, you got the students, you got the football team, just as one FAMU. You know how we do. And he was upset that he had never seen that family thing come together like that. So this recruiting past weekend, when A.D. Overton was going to speak to the recruits that Coach Wood was bringing in, he called me and said, hey, I need that video from the pep rally, because he wanted to make sure that no student has the opportunity to come here that doesn't understand the big picture of the family that's here. And another pillar that I want to talk about is facilities. As we go through, and I don't know where it ranks in the pillars, but it is one of the pillars, facilities. We've been trying to address facilities, and just like we said, there's no quick fix for the academics and the stability and the winning and the stability of the department in general. The facilities is something that we're going to continue to try to improve on, but make sure we do it the right way.
No, absolutely. And facilities is very, very important in the whole recruiting process. And let me say this. I was at 220 Club the other day. Actually, today's Thursday, so it was yesterday. And I had to tell them, gosh, I really planned on getting on a bulldozer and running over our existing field house and building it over right after football season. And I had to say there's going to be a bit of a delay on that, okay? It's going to happen. I'm still very focused on it. I'm still very focused, and I know that our Rattler Nation is going to help us get that done this year, but it didn't happen right after football season. We're going to have to do some aggressive financing, options there. We're going to have to make sure that we get corporate sponsors, involved. So we're going to have to do a lot of different things in order to make that happen. We need about $10 million. That's not just for football, and I want to clarify that. There's going to be a new training room for everybody. There's going to be a new academic center, and that the main reason to build that is for a new academic center, okay, in there. There's going to be a new weight room, for everybody in there. And then obviously football will have locker rooms and coaches' offices and meeting spaces, things like that. On the top floor, there's going to be a multi-purpose opportunity for it to be a meeting space, a classroom, but then on game day, it can be a club. Okay, so we have to continue to fundraise, and we've got to raise at least $8 to $10 million in order to get this accomplished. And when I say raise, some of that might be in financing. I wasn't prepared to say that the last time. Now, however we get that done, it's a must. There's no other thing that we can do. we have to raise this money in order to get this, and I'm calling it phase one, of Bragg Stadium, right? Of the redevelopment of Bragg Stadium. The phase one is that all sports complex, or you call it sports performance complex. It's so important because people have to know that we're credible. When our recruits come, they've been seeing the same picture when they walk in, for the last 10 years. We actually have not touched football in 30 plus years, okay? So we have to make sure that we make that investment. Now, facilities is so important in order to get that accomplished because it really does affect your overall recruiting. Now, let me say this about facilities as well. I talked to our head coaches. Our master plan in athletics is not just about, phase 1 and 2 of football. It's also, volleyball. Our volleyball team doesn't really have the type of locker room that they need to have. Our track and field program does not have a locker room. I mean, men and women track, there's no locker room. That bothers me a great deal. So what you'll see is with this locker room campaign is that we're raising money also to do renovations, for some of our other sports as well. If you think about softball needs a batting cage. Baseball, they had a trailer that was donated to them for the clubhouse, but didn't have any water, didn't have any electric. We need to break it out, so we need to build a clubhouse situation for them. So in their area, they can do what they need to do. Now, I know that the university is committed to moving, this P3 project forward. And what that P3 project is that because the state does not allow athletics, to access, ENG money, okay, so educational money, what we have to do is the university can help us by encouraging businesses, to invest, around the stadium. So what that means is that if somebody wants to build a parking lot, then we can attach that parking lot that, would be privately funded. If somebody wants to build a restaurant, then part of the stadium would have a restaurant, right? And I love that to be the case because now our student athletes could eat there. We could put a training table in there, and it's a one-stop shop situation, right? So, P3, as I say, we have to be innovative and creative in how we go about it. No is not an answer. We're too close. We have a lot of momentum, right? So we've got momentum. We've got the best education. We've got the best experience on campus, right? You can't go to any other school to get the type of experience that you have here. The best education. We're only missing facilities. And if we have momentum now, there's no other time. There is no tomorrow. Like, I'm so serious about this. I told the 20 Club guys, I might have to do something crazy. I'm going to have to go and run my car through the field house. If y'all want to bail me out of jail? And I was kind of halfway laughing, but kind of halfway not. I am so serious about we have to. It's like a must. And realize this, we're not just talking about athletics. When we're talking about building a facility, what we're talking about is athletics improves, okay? As we win championships, softball last year was on ESPN. As we get closer and we beat, FSU, which we got real close on, that is just more exposure for the university. That's some young lady, sitting there at home like, man, I didn't know much about Florida A&M University, so I want to go there. That exposure helps us in our recruiting. And as we get more students on campus and our revenues go up, and now we are assured that FAMU will always be here for the next generation of Rattlers. So an infusion of resources in for facilities, for athletics, is an infusion of resources for the campus. We are an extension of the university. That's it. Mm-hmm. So as we go, the university goes, and vice versa. We are family. We have to work together, and just like in nursing or just like in pharmacy, we have the best pharmacy students. What do we need for the best pharmacy students? A pharmacy building. Right. To recruit the best and the brightest. That's what we've always talked about. I've heard Dr. Humphreys talk about, recruiting the best and the brightest. But what do? You show the best and the brightest that you mean business. That you are serious about their education. You're serious about the laboratories that they're going to do their work in. We have a laboratory that we need to improve. And we have to, at the same way, show that we are serious about our student athletes having the opportunity to perform at the highest levels because we're going to support, the facility need that they have.
Okay, good. And the last question before you and I sing Jingle Bells to close out. But a big part of starting off 2017, right, is getting the Investing in Champions program launched.
Absolutely.
And we got a late start last year,
We did.
which means we got data late, which contributed to some of the challenges we had. But you're starting now in December.
No question. Absolutely. So rather, within the next couple of weeks, certainly before January 1st, what we plan to do is relaunch the Investing in Champions program. And realize that Investing in Champions is an annual giving program. If you're a champion, guess what? You're also a booster. If you're a booster, you're a champion. We're going to walk together, with the booster group, on one accord, and we've got a really good situation, I think, moving in that direction. So I can appreciate that. So that's one challenge that we had last year that we're moving beyond. Okay, so we'll have access to all of the data. The other thing that we're doing, guys, is we know that there were some issues. There's some folks that had one parking last year, and then they had some challenges getting the parking because some of it had to do with the addresses we didn't have and so on and so forth. So here's what we've done, because we've got problems, but I want you guys to know that we're committed to making sure your experience is better, and that here are a couple of things that we're going to do. So two things. One is that we improve our customer service relationship database. So we purchased a new Ticketmaster system. That's an upgrade. This allows us to, as we roll this out, you're actually going to be able to manage your own ticket account. So those who do business online, you'll get an email from us with a video, a nice letter and card that's coming out here shortly, just showing you that, hey, here's your username and password. You can log in. You can see everything that you bought, whether it's a parking pass, whether it's a ticket, you want to upgrade your ticket. So that gives you an opportunity to do some self-management, and so you don't have to call and wait online, with the ticket office. Now, the other piece is that we didn't have enough people answering phones. Okay, so one of the things we're doing was doing a outbound sales area in our other ticket office. So we're actually using the old ticket office that we had over in Gaither. We're creating a customer service area, and that's going to be manned by a full-time person plus some students that we're training. Those students are all going to have phones. We're training them on, hey, if somebody calls and asks about their season ticket, that someone's going to answer the phone, okay? And that was an issue last year. And so as you have a lot of growth, like we hit a huge number in season tickets, but the infrastructure was not there for the growth. So now we're accommodating and preparing for even more season tickets, and we're going to be prepared by having two groups. It's the ticket office and an extension of the ticket office that only takes care of customers. That's all they're doing, not at the window and on the phone and doing these other things, but hey, if you called and you had an issue, we're taking care of you, okay? So we have obviously a better database, so we know exactly what you had last year. We don't have to go through that process again. We're doubling down on customer service and customer support, to make sure that that we answer the phones and that we can get back to you, in a quicker fashion. Okay. I think the other thing is that I had to learn that folks want to pick their tickets up, right? Right. So they do. So because we got data late last time, our season tickets were delayed. Okay, guess what? This year we're gonna have those season tickets in hand by early May. Okay, right. I mean, folks will be able to start picking up their season tickets in May if they want to. If you want them mailed out, we're gonna mail them to you, and we're not gonna charge you. That's something that we changed this year. Is that I think in the past, the reason why so many people wanted to pick their tickets up is because there was a charge. But we're not charging for that because you guys are investing. Right. So we're going to send you the tickets, but we're going to give you the option. You're going to be able to have a better experience online to buy your season tickets, okay, and to actually manage and control your own account. You're going to be able to get your season tickets and parking pass early, much more early, because we now know where you're supposed to park. It's in the database, it's in a better database, and we're going to answer the phones. So we know we had an issue, but I call it a growing pain, because, and just think about why we were doing it. We weren't doing it just to change. We sent out a survey. You guys said, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Right. And the growing pain is and what we were trying to do to make sure that we answered you. Right. That we took care of your needs. And so, we tried to take care of a lot in year one, and it's going to be much smoother in year two and much smoother in year three. But I am committed to making sure that if you invest that money with FAMU Athletics and to try to make sure our student athletes have a better experience, have scholarships, we're going to be committed to making sure you have a good experience as your customer service is better.
Well, all right. Well, as we close out, any parting words for the Rattler Nation besides get those Investing in Champions packages as soon as they're available. They will be available online at FAMUBuildingChampions.com. You can get information on FAMUAthletics.com. Of course, the ticket office is also available. And this year you can also buy, you'll be able to buy your manager account, online. You'll be able to go into your own account, so you don't always have to speak to someone. I know I do a lot of my business online, and I'd rather not speak to someone, so we'll add that option this year. And by launching in December, it gives those people who are going by payroll deduction, it's a smaller amount, and it may encourage people to go up a level because of the time they have to pay for it.
And we've heard that too, is that, we launched in December this month, and you have 8 months. And guess what? In the future, you'll have the whole year. We'll have a situation where, just like the NFL, you just pay every month.
Right.
And so you never stop. So we'll have a 12-month option next year. So we're going to our plan is to get better and better and continue to improve. And I would just also say just buy FAMU, apparel. It's Christmas time. We got a lot of good stuff. Go to our website, and then we have our online site, through the web, through Fanatics, okay? And we have great merchandise. Make sure that it has trademark on there, because when you buy trademark athletics equipment or the logos, then you're buying FAMU, okay? Sure. And then you're investing in scholarships, because that money comes in and to support athletic scholarships. So just make sure you do that. There's some really cool products and stuff out there.
Sure, I love this. We're now Nike. And make sure it has only this Rattler. This is our only official Rattler. There are so many snakes out there. That's what they are, snakes. This is the only official FAMU Rattler. So look for the official FAMU logo head, the CLC tag inside of the wear, and as well our school is now Nike. All of our teams are migrating there. We've got maybe a year left on the Russell migration, but
all teams will be on next year.
All teams will be on Nike next year.
That's right. And again, have a wonderful Christmas.
Yep.
Happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa, happy whatever it is that you celebrate. But I celebrate Christmas. You might have to roll that back.
No, we gonna keep it just like
Merry
that.
Christmas to you guys. Happy holidays, and Rattlers. We just keep doing our things, because the Rattlers always gonna strike, and strike again. Merry Christmas to you.